Really appreciate it, Mr. President. And to Senator Burgess, I think I echo the sentiments of my other colleagues to expressing just not how you carry the bill, but also how you carry yourself. And so very appreciative for your friendship. And members, yesterday I spoke, and in my delivery, the first thing in my questioning was asking Senator Burgess on whether or not he had ever attended a demonstration. And I asked that question because prior to me getting into the legislature as an educator graduating from Florida A&M University, the one thing that we were taught there was to demonstrate. Senator Powell was aware of it because we both went to Florida A&M. And those demonstrations were speaking out against things that we know were not just, and things that we know that we needed to fight for in order for the betterment of our communities. There's an old saying that says, show me where you put your time and your energy, and I'll show you your priorities. House Bill 1 is the priority of the state of Florida right now. If you look at how the tone is in this chambers right now, I appreciate that we have everyone's listening ear on the time in which we are in right now. It'll be easy for me, members, to pick up this mic and call you out. But that gets us nowhere. So in my debate today, I choose to call you in. Because I believe that that's the only way that we're going to get into the direction where we are trying to go. Myself as an organizer, someone who is a true believer in the fight for justice and to fight against the injustices, not just against individuals who look like me, but also for individuals who don't look like me. And I believe the only way that we are going to get anywhere in the state and in this country, members, I'm going to be honest with you, that we're going to have to get real comfortable with having some uncomfortable conversations. Some conversations that we have went years and years and never have addressed them. We're going to have to get comfortable talking about racism. We're going to have to get comfortable talking about police brutality and the killing of black men and boys. It's a tight conversation, but it's the right conversation that we have to have in order for us to get there. And I get it, members, we are at a crossroads in this country. All across this country, not just in Florida. When we sit and talk about the systemic racism that exists, not just this year, but something that has existed for over 400 years. From Emmett Till to Rodney King to Trayvon Martin to even as Dante Wright, as recent as just a few days ago. So I have 6 black nephews, and I speak about them often. And my sister-in-law, both of them, they have a fear for my oldest nephews when they go out and they drive. And the unfortunate part is that it's a mother's fear that unfortunately, or a parent's fear that unfortunately some of you will never have to experience with your child. Being pulled over because of the color of their skin or the kind of car they drive. Or your child being looked as and being accused of being someone that they're not. I look at this bill that we're having today and how it's come about. It was in late September after the death of George Floyd, the entire riots that was taking place or the demonstrations that was taking place across this country. Those demonstrations were not just about George Floyd. Those demonstrations were built up anger of 400 years of what black Americans have been dealing with. The governor didn't come out to speak, to say that we need to do something about the interactions between police and the black community. The governor didn't come out and say that we need to deal with police violence against people of color. The governor didn't come out and say we need to deal with the gun violence that's in my district or Senator Thurston's district or Senator Tadeo's district. He didn't say that. But what he did say was we're going to make sure That's what's happening across this country. Don't happen in Florida. So my question to this room, to the Senate, is how do you want us to demonstrate for a group of people where the criminal justice system have 80% of the people who look like me? What is the right way to protest for a people who experience trauma after trauma after trauma when you look at the news and the killing of black men, and then it becomes justifiable in the system? How do you want us to demonstrate when within our communities we continue to see the blood of the gunshot wounds and the mother who's crying because she's just lost her child and no one seems to help her? Come on. We turned to the streets when Trayvon Martin died. We turned to the streets when George Floyd died. And we even now recently are turning to the streets looking at Dante Wright. There's no justice in this justice system. It's just us fighting. Seeming as if no one will come and help us, and so therefore we take it to the streets. We call the Boston Tea Party American history, but then when black folk get out to protest, now we call that a crime and we're a bunch of thugs. Whenever the marginalized people have the audacity to fight simply for what is fair and right, we're always told to wait. You don't want us in the streets. You don't want us to kneel at games. You don't want us to shut down the streets. So our response to injustice is to protest, but your response is to criminalize it when the recourse for us is to turn to the streets to make our voices heard. In this unjust system, there's no justice in the courtroom for us. There's no justice in the boardroom for us. There's no justice for our women with fair wages, for our black women and our women of color. And unfortunately, there is no justice within this government system. Yesterday, 16 amendments were offered. 16 amendments were offered, and my dear friend, he turned them down because it was too late. And so once again, we were told to wait. And I'm sorry, senators, I'll be honest with you, until we begin to fix the system, you're going to continue to see disruption. And unfortunately, Senator Burgess, this bill will not stop it. What we're about to pass today is an invitation to fight harder against the very thing we thought was the past. And remember this, members, progress don't come without resistance. And as I come to a close, I'll say this. Because Senator Pizzo was right. After this is said and done, we'll walk out of here. We will embrace each other. We'll continue to walk these halls and figure out what is the best way we can find compromise. But the disagreement that we're seeing today is individuals who are saying that we will not compromise bipartisanship for injustice. We can't do it. Our greatest moments, members, they are not behind us. The greatest moments that we have are actually ahead of us, but the question is, members, whether or not we are willing to do the work to get there, because Lord knows I am willing and ready. As a 37-year-old man who's here in the state of Florida, who have the privilege of serving in this Senate with some amazing individuals who sit in this room today, I know we can do the work, but the question is, are you willing to go with me to do it? House Bill 1 is not it. And as you prepare to vote today, I ask you to ask yourself the question, does this move us further forward or further backwards? And that's a decision that each of you are going to have to ask yourself. And I close with this. When we walk outside this door today, all of us are going to go home to our families. And we're going to have a reckoning with our own selves. But know this, that history going to judge us on our decisions. And history can sometimes be cruel karma. And I ask you to ask yourself the question, what is history going to say to you later on? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there any additional debate?